Do you remember this, ladies and gents? The Terminal List is an unhinged right-wing revenge fantasy. This copped so much flack at the time, The Terminal List. It's actually a staggeringly good show. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of a bit of a, I reviewed it at the time and I said, hey, look, it's kind of a bit of a throwback to like a 90s, 2000s, just sort of like action flick, Wasn't anything crazy. I mean, it's just, it has good moral values, guy, family, like there's Marines, and the revenge stuff, I mean, like, it's very much governmental, so it's a bit odd. It's a bit odd that they were like, oh, it's all right wing, sure, alright, whatever, sure. But like I said, it's done really, really well, despite the critics absolutely hating it, and they really did. 39% certified rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. And it was hated. People really, really hated it. The Terminal List likely would have worked far better as a feature film or maybe a limited series of no more than 4 to 6 episodes. As it stands, the story is overlong, ploddingly told, and somehow makes revenge feel bland and boring. I disagree. I really liked it. The strange thing about this series, if not the bad taste, is how its incoherent plot plays into the conspiracy theories, wish fulfillment. Sure. The problem with trying to intellectualize a glorified one-man mission is that the writing paints itself into a corner in terms of real-world nuts and bolts. It's not real-world, mate. Rahul. It's not real-world. A grim, chaotic and nonsensical journey into domestic terrorism. Worst of all, it's boring. Sure. The domestic terror, sure, whatever. A muddled and maddening bore. The Irish Independent. So yeah, people genuinely hated it. They really, really did. Not good. And it was like nonsense as well. The stuff that they were saying was absolute nonsense. Like, I understand there are things which is, personal opinion. Like, I get that. Media is subjective. But there are some objective truths about each piece of media. And some of the stuff they were saying was just objectively completely wrong. Like, genuinely completely wrong. The Terminal List is a classic American fantasy about the goodness of the SEALs, the corruption of high-level government officials and corporate shills, and the purifying quality of righteous violence. I mean, that sounds good, right, Rebecca Onion? That sounds like a positive review. Anyway, yeah. Basically, people didn't like it. So thank God it's coming back for Season 2. And a prequel series is in development. Yes. Praise be. Praise be. Love it. So anyway, it's being reported that Prime Video has renewed Chris Pratt's action thriller series The Terminal List for a second season. Plus, they're also in the early stages of developing a prequel series, which I think is actually quite funny because if I remember rightly, it actually appeared on the Nielsen top charts. I'm pretty certain it did. Oh no, The Boys did, sorry. Okay, well it wouldn't have been far off the Rings of Power. It would have been pretty high in terms of the Rings of Power. But anyway, like I said, it's got renewed. Not only is it being renewed for Season 2, but also a prequel series. Prequel series, I think, maybe I'm getting confused, but I think it's actually one of the top rated shows that Amazon has on this. Maybe I'm getting confused with that in terms of ratings and viewership. I think maybe I am. But yeah, in terms of this, I think it is one of the top rated shows that Amazon Prime has. You can correct me in the comments if you like. I'm sure you will. Furiously typing away. But anyway, after an action-packed freshman outing, Prime Video has renewed its action thriller series The Terminal List for a second season with Chris Pratt, which we kind of knew anyway because he took to Instagram and posted something a little while back, which looked like he was getting ready to go, getting in shape to play James Reese again. And a good character. I really like James Reese. I like Chris Pratt. I like him in these types of roles. It's serious. Like we know Chris Pratt as a comedic actor. I like him in really serious roles. He was great in this. If you haven't watched it, do yourself a favour, go watch it. So while the series wasn't well received by critics, it managed to win over audiences and boast an impressive 94% audience score. on Rotten Tomatoes, presumably giving the streamer more than enough reason to bring the show back for a second run, mainly because of how many people watched it. So Season 1 was primarily based on Jack Carr's 2018 novel of the same name. So in terms of Season 2, it's likely to adapt the second novel, which obviously has James Reese again, called True Believer. Although there's always a chance that they could skip, obviously, ahead. It's dependent. We don't know. But Jack Carr has also come out and basically lambasted critics by saying, well, they didn't like it because it's not woke. You know, it hasn't got all the woke stuff shoved into it. Which is difficult to argue with, actually. It's difficult to see where he's wrong. Like, I would argue that he's probably right. Because the stuff that people were saying, I mean, like these headlines alone, unhinged, right-wing revenge fantasy. I mean, this stuff's wank. You know, it features Chris Pratt going vengefully homicidal due, in part, to a serious mental condition. Yeah, well, yes and no, which follows in the tradition of Jack Ryan and Jack Reacher by delivering gung-ho macho action drama tailor-made for 40-something Call of Duty players. No, it's made for people that still want to be men, alright? Like, I'm so sick of men being lambasted. Like, I look around and, you know, like I walk around, I look around, like you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter. Where have men gone? You've basically got two types of men now. You've got fat or you've got twinky little boys. There's very rarely any athleticism amongst men anymore. Men are told, like, I was recently in Thailand, right? And not that they're the pinnacle of, you know, masculinity, of course not. But it's fascinating to come from a place like Thailand back to the Western world and see the absolute propaganda shoved down everyone's faces in advertisement non-stop. I could not believe the amount of anti-meat shite that is in adverts in Western world now. It is, I mean, it's truly shocking. When you go out to a place like that is so far removed from the Western world and then come back, you're like, holy Christ. Like, it is literal brainwashing propaganda non-stop. And that's why, you know, this isn't made for 40-somethings. You know, that's not what this is designed for. And if it is designed for them, well, then they're the last bastion of masculinity, aren't they? It's such a joke. Such a joke. Like, not to get too personal, I could barely buy trousers nowadays because it's made for skinny little twinky boys. You know, like, if a man can't even buy trousers, there's something going wrong here, alright? There's an issue. But yeah, I mean, the whole nonsense about this, you know, having non-woke stuff shoved in it, yeah, I mean, it's true. It didn't have any of that stuff, so it was highly well reviewed. Because, funnily enough, that stuff doesn't sell, and the people that do like it aren't consumers. They're not, funnily enough, they're just not consumers. They don't buy stuff. You know, those people banging on about communism, Marxism, you know. Generally speaking, they don't like capitalism. They don't like buying stuff. Pretty dumb market to appeal to, if you ask me. But, you know, no one ever has, so whatever. But yeah, look, I think this is cool. So additionally, the streamer is also in the early stages of development on a prequel series that will centre on Taylor Kitsch's character, Ben Edwards. Further details are currently unknown, but it's believed to follow Edwards' journey from SEALs to the CIA. I'd watch that. That'd be great. I would absolutely watch that. Absolutely watch that. So if you haven't seen this, go watch it. I think it's a great show. I strongly recommended it at the time. I strongly recommend it now. Don't really care about the prequel series. I mean, I'll watch it, but you know, if you've watched season 1, you know what happens. So it's kind of a bit like, maybe. But season 2 of this, I'm game for. More serious roles for Chris Pratt, I'm very game for. I want to see Chris Pratt do more serious things. And I think he can do more serious things. I think he's an excellent actor, actually, when he's given stuff to actually, you know, sink his teeth into. So let me know what you guys think down below. Love to hear any and all of your thoughts. Hit subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I've got about 50% people watching my channel that are not actually subscribed. So please do yourself a favour, do me a favour, hit subscribe. You obviously like the channel because you keep coming back. So hit subscribe. Give the video a like because that really does help me out whilst YouTube is like bending the channel over, you know. It'd be good if we could at least get, you know, a courtesy lick, and giving a like would potentially stave off YouTube's bending over tactics. So no, thanks so much. None of those analogies made sense, but they did to me. Take care.